Après V, Codge bike here from the graveyard, and 5 things I love about my NT1100, which is now equipped, as you can see, with spotlights. 17 quid for the pair, not bad. Mesh seat for comfort, top box. Yeah, really into this bike now, enjoying it. Done 1,000 miles, so here's the 5 things that I like. Right, so yeah, number 1 thing that I like about this bike, they're in no particular order, but it probably would be number 1, is the engine. I think it's just a phenomenal engine on the Africa Twin. This is I think it's 1087. They call it an 1100, but it's just less than 1100 twin. We've got the sweet spot really, with 100 horsepower and 104 newton meters of torque. It's what I call the sweet spot. $100 and 100, that's what you want. So yeah, it makes for just a perfect power for UK roads. We haven't got autobahns in the UK. Nothing much is faster that you ever come across, so you can always get by whatever you need to get by. Yeah, it's a sweet engine, very forgiving. You can labour it in any gear really, it'll pull along. It's well capable of overtaking most things if you need a burst of speed, and it's quite economical. I'm getting sort of 50 to 60 miles per gallon, which is not bad, you know, for a big engine like that. And of course it's out of the Africa Twin. It's a well proven engine, it's been developed over a long time. They've got the characteristics of it right. It's just a gentle giant really. The one thing they haven't got right is the fueling at low revs. Honda's a generation behind sort of Ducati, KTM. Once they've sorted that, no doubt in the future it'll be perfect. But once you go in, that doesn't really matter. It's just a lovely engine to be right. I mean, the sound of it is fantastic. Yeah, I've got an N-can on. It just makes a nice rumbly noise. Just everything you want really in a large parallel twin. It's got that 270 firing order, so it feels a little bit like a V, but it's not vibey. It's not like the 500cc engines, which I found quite vibey. The frequency of these vibes that it has got are just characterful. It's lovely. I really like the engine. That's my number 1 thing. Second thing I love about this bike is the handling of it. Now I jokingly call it Africa Twin Supermoto, but it actually is like that. Obviously you're not going to be doing stunts and trips on it. I don't mean from that point of view. I mean, it's got a very characterful off-road engine and 17-inch wheels, so you get all the manoeuvrability of a 17-inch wheel bike and sort of the characteristics that I've just been saying of the ADV engine, and the two together is really something. You've still got 150 mils of travel, so it's good for the bouncy pothole British roads. So from that point of view it's good. But you can flick it about, you can throw it into corners. It's a very wide feeling bike. Well, I think that's just the fairing, the protection on it. If you took that off, there'd be less of the illusion that it can't do what it can actually do, which is it can lean right over in corners. It's easy to turn round. It's a heavy bike to manoeuvre on a on your driveway if it's full of fuel, because it's what it is, it's 238 kilograms fueled, so that's never going to be light. But once it's rolling, it's such a manoeuvrable and flickable bike. I really enjoy riding it. So the second thing I love about this bike is the handling. It's very good. Oh yeah, the suspension on this bike, I meant to mention that it's a very bumpy bit of road here. Like a lot of Japanese bikes, it's firmer on the front than it is on the back, but it's adjustable. I haven't got around to doing that yet, it's still stock as far as I know. The back suspension is so much better than the CB500X I had before, so even the stock suspension for general use is fine and adds to the sort of overall comfort. There's quite a lot of adjustment for preload if you've got pillion or luggage, and you can adjust the preload on the front. I'm actually going to try the preload a bit softer on this, because as it's sell, like as I say, most Japanese bikes, firm on the front, soft on the back. So for stock suspension with limited adjustment, I found it very comfortable. I believe you me, with my spine condition, I would have noticed. The third thing that I like to have on this bike, although I'm ignoring it at the moment, is Android Auto. You can see there, I can flick to Android Auto. It's very useful to have that. I've got it Bluetooth in. Technically it comes with a wire, but you can put a wired Bluetooth device in, and it's been pretty flawless so far. I'm trying different apps all the time. Waze has been my favoured version so far, but you can use Google Maps if that's what you like. And today I'm trying Cyjig or Cylig, I'm not sure what it's called, because it can import GPX files, which is what the only thing I really miss from having a sat-nav is those GPX files, being able to put a route in and then follow that route. Not that I ever do exactly, but so today, as I say, I'm using Cylig just to try it out. I'm not taking any notice of it. The lovely handling, lovely engine, so nice. So yeah, to have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay built into a bike is just so logical. I've not got it on my car, but I know most people have got it in their cars these days. So if you're used to using it on your car, you're going to have no problem with this, and you can play music through your headset and do phone calls and all that stuff. I'm not interested in that, I never do that. It does say in the Honda manual that you can't use it without your headset. Well, I'm using it so I haven't got my headset on. No intention of using my headset. So you just have to twice tell it that you're not using a headset to ignore your headset. Nice Tenere. And then it works just fine. So number 3 is having built-in Android Auto. I think a lot of bikes are going to have that in the future. I know some people say they don't like the 2 screens or whatever. It doesn't bother me. I use it all the time when I'm out, just to show me the speed limit and my relative speed. But as long as I can get the speed limit updated as I go along, I'm happy. And it's, you know, with one flick of the switch you flick between your sat nav and your tour. Just don't push the button forward. That takes you to the phone sort of phone apps, which you don't need. So you get used to just pulling that button towards you and not pushing it away. That's a different function entirely. So I just love having that facility on the bike built in, and it works very well. In there is my Bluetooth dongle, so I've wired that in to the waterproof connection, and I just set my phone at home. You can change it on the fly, I have done that. Once you get used to it, initially it's quite distracting, but you get used to it. You can do it without looking at the screen. I mean, obviously I'm looking at the road. So there we go, look, we're going from a 60 to a 30. Will it notice? How long will it take to react? 30, there you go. The fourth thing I like about this bike is the ergos. The ergos. Oh, it's a big bike. It's an 1100. Nearest, damn it. The Africa Twin is a big bike. But for a big bike, they've done everything they can to accommodate. I'm not particularly tall, I'm average height, 5'9", in my stocking feet, 5'10", in my big boots. I can actually wear my big boots on this bike. I've adjusted the quick shifter so they'll fit. As it's derived from a big tall bike, the Africa Twin, it's a much more manageable size bike. I think the seat height's 820 or 830, can't remember. I'll put it on the screen. So you haven't got far to go to the ground. It doesn't feel as top heavy as the old Africa Twin that I used to have. The new one's not so bad, but the old Africa Twin I used to find very top heavy, quite difficult. I don't know where I'm going here, so you know, saying turn left. A big bike, but a reasonable seat height for most people. I would suggest, not for everybody, but for most people. It's got some weight to it, but it's relatively low. And if you've got the DCT version, which I have ridden, it's even more comfortable if you're concerned about riding a bigger bike, because it does all the gears for you. Personally, I like to have a gearbox. I'm just not a DCT person. I've had a DCT bike for a year, it just didn't suit me. You know, you've got automatic indicators which go off, which is great if you're one of those people who leave them on. The only problem is when I get on another bike I forget to turn them off, but they're very good. You've got heated grips built in. It's got nice wide handlebars for a road bike. Probably not as wide as the Africa Twin ones, but they're quite wide. I find the seat very comfortable. I've put a mesh seat on it just because I like mesh seats. Not for comfort particularly, I just find I like them if it rains or whatever, or hot days. I've put bar risers on because I had a spine injury and I find it difficult to have my arms out. If you don't find it difficult to have your arms out, you'll probably be alright. Just have a minor issue with that at the moment. So 20mm bar risers just went on this bike. There is a video on that. There's a video on most of this stuff, I think. So I found that's made just a difference for me. So the ergos, the screen is phenomenal. It's the best screen I've ever had in terms of weather protection and anti-buffeting. I don't get any buffeting whatsoever. I rode the Ducati Desert X the other day and I was absolutely blown away by that bike, but the one thing that would have driven me nuts eventually is there was some wind buffeting, and it's non-adjustable screen. This is adjustable in 5 positions. Yes, you've got to get off the bike to do that, but I tend to just keep it in the highest position until we get a hot day. As I say, we haven't had any this year, but until or unless we get hot days, I've left it in the high position. It's just, for me, turbulence free. Who wouldn't want to be turbulence free if they could have the option? Well, I've got the option and I'm taking it. Best screen ever. Might not be the most beautiful screen ever, but functionality, it's the best I've ever had. And I've had a lot. I've had a few. Honda mirrors are very good, no vibrations in them. You might say, why have you got that folding mirror on that side? That's because when I store the bike I have to fold the mirror away. It just annoys me having to unbolt it each time, so I've just fitted that. But the stock mirrors are fine. That mirror is more stable than that one, I've noticed, although this one, they're still both fine, even at high speed. No issues with that. So that was the ergos, and really just related entirely to that. Not, you could argue, not a separate thing at all. It's just comfort, the equipment that's supplied with it. You get heated grips, just turn them off because I don't need them today. Heated grips supplied with the bike, built in, standard. I've already mentioned the screen, the handlebars, the seating position, upright, sit up and beg style, but in a bubble of calm. It's just a very comfortable place to be. It's a lazy engine, low revving if you want it to be, high revving if you don't. It does top out pretty soon, but you know, it will. Well, 5th gear, 37 miles an hour, and it will pull. A nice, lazy, comfortable place to be, which is how I like to be most of the time. For excitement, I could set my 2-stroke 125 out. That's excitement of a different kind, whether you're going to get home alive. 50! There's a lot of smoke coming out the back. Yeah, it's a lovely, lovely bike. So that's my positive thoughts on my own NT1100, which has a quick shifter because it's the manual version. That was an optional extra. That's the only optional extra I bought with the bike. Everything else came with it. Front brakes very good. I've tested that a couple of times, as you do. So that's a good thing. It's just a peaceful and lovely place to be on a nice sunny day like today. When you've got a tractor who's got every annoyed car in the world coming along, I like to take it nice and steady. Done that, Codge Biker is out. Lovely, lovely, lovely Nigella. Yeah, sorry, Nigella. Lovely Nigella. Hello field, potatoes. Ooh, lovely. How are you doing? Yeah, it has been a while. Yeah, this is a different bike. Nigella. Or Nige to her friends. Nigella? Okay, apparently I'm not her friend. But anyway, lovely to see you. Lovely.